Hi, my name is John Broussard, and I'd like to welcome you today to my talk about art. And I have a topic today, which is the artist's obligation. And before I get into the topic, however, I just want to thank you for taking time to listen to me and hear what I have to say on the subject. And I promise not to be too long-winded, okay? So let's just get into the topic itself. As I mentioned, the topic for today is the artist's obligation. And if I can work through this technology, here we go. Uh, I chose this topic for a reason, folks. The reason I chose this topic is because I recall a former art teacher at UC Berkeley by the name of Joan Brown saying to the class that it was very important for us to continue doing our art, to never stop no matter what. And recently, just a few months ago, I had a conversation with a friend of mine who is a very prominent, highly successful artist who made the very same point that we as artists have an obligation to continue to work. And, and so that's why I chose this topic, because even though I think art collectors, art advocates, people who just come and look at art, everyone plays a role in the art world, but it is the artist who has the obligation to actually produce the work. So I think it's so important to have a commitment to be able to sustain that work over time. And so, we're not immune to life's challenges. Sometimes we have difficulties, sometimes we even experience hardships. However, uh, we somehow have to find the strength and the resilience to pick up and continue to move on, even though at times we may suffer setbacks. So again, I think we have special obligation. We have a unique set of gifts and talents. And I think one of them is to have the ability to use our imaginations and to be able to see the world through various lenses and to see things from different perspectives. In fact, even when we're doing our work itself, regardless as to whether it's 2D or three-dimensional work, we will often look at our work from different angles, from different vantage points. But also, we see the world, whether it's the reality we perceive or the imagined reality. We can see things slightly differently. And the work that we do is imbued with those attributes. And so essentially, when people look at our art, they are looking through our eyes and via the work itself. And so, one can argue that particularly if people are moved by the work or if there's some sort of internal reaction, there could be a small impact or perhaps even a more dramatic impact. And so I think art does have that ability to influence people. And we can use art for so many different things, for cultural exposure. We can honor our ancestors by paying homage or homage to them. And even in a broader sense, we can immortalize those who come before us in the form of our art. For example, the late, great Harriet Tubman, whose selflessness and boundless courage was just astonishing. I mean, to put herself at risk of being captured and to have then most certainly suffered unimaginable consequences had that happened. Uh, she still, despite those risks, time and time again would go back into the people who were in bondage and help lead them out into freedom. So this is one of the ways that we can use art. And speaking of historical figures, sometimes there are people who were not actually given their just due. In fact, they are somewhat buried in history. Thanks to such writers as Rees, we have more information about the late Alex Dumas, who was the father of the famous writer Alexander Dumas of the Count of Monte Cristo fame. And Alex Dumas was the result of an enslaved Haitian woman and a French nobleman who eventually sold Alex into slavery, but then ultimately brought him back out of slavery into France to live the life of a nobleman. And then eventually they broke, went separate ways, and Alex became a dragoon. And then he had a meteoric rise to become a general and participated in a number of military campaigns in which he was successful. So I just mentioned that because sometimes we can use our art for historical purposes. And speaking of that era, the French Revolutionary War era, because of art, we happen to know what Napoleon Bonaparte looked like, you know? And so art can make that contribution. And none of this is possible without us as artists continuing to work. So I didn't want to be long-winded, but I do definitely want to thank you so much for taking time to listen to me. And I hope that wherever you're at in this world, whatever time of day or night it is, that you are well and that you continue to be so. Thank you again for listening. And also, I would like to extend an invitation to you to join me at Broussard934 at Instagram.com. Again, that's Broussard934 at Instagram.com. I will be posting my work periodically as it becomes available. And you are welcome to message me. You can give me feedback. And if you like something, you can like it too. That's what people do these days, you know, as you know. So listen, again, I do thank you. And do take really good care of yourselves. Until next time, bye-bye for now.